I'll just make this video right now. Why not? The first year in the fleet, for most people, of course, my experience is different from everyone else's, etc. and so on with everyone else's, and then some more. So what I say may not be completely accurate to what someone else has experienced, but generally, this is what's going to happen. After you graduate your A school, maybe you have a C school, maybe you go to the fleet first and then go to your C school, I don't know. But once you get to the fleet, you most likely, now there's a possibility that you won't because I've met people that never had to, you will go TAD. Some people were in the shop for 3 months before they had to go TAD. So they thought they got away with it, and then 3 months later they were like, hey, we're sending you TAD. We're sending you TAD. TAD means temporary assigned duty, which means basically expect. Some people have had really good TAD. Like, my experience is from the aviation side of the Navy. I know that ship people go TAD. They'll do cranking, which is, I guess, one of the worst kind of TADs you could ever possibly get. Cranking is kitchen time, working in the kitchen, cleaning dishes, I guess. I don't know. It's supposedly the worst experience they've ever had in their entire life, cranking. TAD is basically when the newcomers come into the Navy and they need people to do the crappy jobs that no one does. So what better way than to have the new folks initiated into the Navy by making them do the grunt jobs so they can work from the bottom, and everyone's done their TAD time. All your first classes and chiefs have spent time TAD, probably, possibly not, but most likely they have. Everyone's had to do it. Everyone. And it's always the new people because why not, right? Those are who, it makes sense. The new folks get the shit end of the stick, if you will. So they need people to do dishes. They need people to be in the line shack. They need people to do all of these hard jobs. And as you get out of your TAD, then the new people that come in behind you will go TAD and you'll start doing your actual job. So some types of TAD include, one of the better types, so I've heard, is this one girl that I knew. She was an AD. She did TAD. She did like funeral services. So she never went to her command. She would just go to the funeral services, and it would be like a few hours every day and not even every day. So she had like so much time off. It was the best TAD ever. Sad because you were at funerals, and I think that maybe she did something with the flag or marched in her whites, or I don't know what the funeral service TAD people do, but that was one type of TAD. Another type is dishes. You do cranking. Now, the types of TAD I'm familiar with are, like I said, from the aviation side, so there could be a whole other end of TAD that I don't know about in the ship world, but I'm not ship's company, and I likely will never be on a ship. So, aviation side, a very common place to go is called the line shack. No matter what your squadron, the line shack, every squadron has a line shack. Another type of TAD is, like my command has something called PMI, which was a TAD I went through, planned maintenance interval, and it's when we take the bird completely apart and put it back together. So I wasn't necessarily, I'm an AT, aviation technician. I work with radar communications, navigations of an aircraft. And in PMI, I was more like a framer, more like airframes. I was taking off panels, using screws, grade 4, just being a framer, it felt like. I would service the props. I was kind of an AD also, but I was never doing anything AT-like. Then I was also TAD to something called ASF, and I'm still in ASF. I'm obligated to 18 months in ASF or longer if it fits the needs of the Navy. And ASF means Auxiliary Security Force, and I basically had to get OC sprayed and get my weapons quals for M9. Everyone got that in boot camp. Not everyone. Some people failed. M9, M16. I have the M240 Bravo, the Mossberg 500 shotgun. OC sprayed. Blah, 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 blah. kind of a short run through of what the MAs had to go through to get their qualifications. I have to upkeep that every 6 months so that I can stay on Gatewatch with the MAs. And sometimes I get activated, like I'm going to be activated soon. I don't know if it's because there's a shortage of MAs or for an event or something, but because I have the qualifications, I stand watch with the MAs a lot of the time to try to help because they're undermanned. At my base anyway. Because of the budget cuts in the military, they had to get rid of a lot of the civilian DoD personnel that stood watches with them, like the cops. So they got rid of kind of a lot of those and then had people like me, because I am shore duty, become ASF. So I was those two types of ASF. And then, let's see. Okay, let me get on to the line shack, because that's most likely what you're going to do if you're in the aviation world. A lot of people get lucky and they don't go to the line shack at all. But there's something called a PC. No matter what your rate in the aviation world, AD, AM, AME, AT, AE, at my command, even if you're an AZ, LS, PR, YN, they make you get your PC. It depends on your command. Every command is a little different. My command has this, all E5 and below will get their PC. PC is plane captain. It is a huge qualification that you get that allows you to basically send the plane or helicopter off. You will oftentimes see someone standing in front of the helo or standing in front of the C2, and they will be making hand motions at the plane, which, like, if I was to start to, I would be starting to, and then I would cut bleed air, and then I would go up on power. It's just a whole thing of things that the PC does to the pilot. They communicate, and they do all these checks before the plane takes off. The PC is the boss of the little land over here on shore anyway. I don't know about PC is in control of things on deck also, but I've had home guard experience. I've never been on deck. The PC is not in charge if you're talking about the flight deck. That's a whole other world. But the PC is in control of that plane and the pilot and telling him to hold on or keep going or whatever. It's hard to explain. I'm trying to put it in very layman terms because a lot of you aren't in the military yet and a lot of you have no idea what a PC is. And I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Anyhow, in order to get your PC qualification, you have to basically know everything about your aircraft. You have to start with servicing oil, taking fuel samples. You do everything from wash jobs. This is all line shack stuff. Basically, they put you in the line shack so that you can get your PC. Personally, I have my own opinion on that, but that's neither here nor there. My command tells me I have to get my PC, then I have to get my PC. What I went to school for is an AT, but the priority to get my PC is higher than their expectations for me to be a good AT. They want me to get my PC first and foremost. That's just a thing. In my opinion, I went to school to be an AT, and I believe that I should be a really good AT first. I don't need to be a PC. They probably don't need me to be a PC either. There's a lot of people with their PC, but, you know, whatever. Whatever. I think it's silly. In the line shack, you will do the dirt jobs. You will be covered in hide fluid and oil and fuel, and you will service the aircraft. You will wash the aircraft. You will play with chains and tie down the aircraft. You will be in charge of FOD walk down. You will, what else do PCs or line shack people do? They move the bird from one location to another. They always, if there's something crappy going on, the line shack people are usually the ones that have to do it. And the people are in the line shack to eventually get their PC. Being in the line shack, you learn the inner workings of the aircraft. You learn a little bit about each rate. You learn how to do a daily, like, okay, there's inspections that you have to do, daily inspections. Just, you have to learn what to look for. I don't know how to, you have to get your tow tractor license, you have to get SE equipment, your SE support equipment licenses. There's like, you have to get your brake rider qual. There's so many qualifications you have to get within the line shack to then get your PC. To get your PC, you have to get all these qualifications, you have to have all these sign-offs, you have to go through a board, you have to be, they interview you to see if you can then get your PC, and then they deem you, oh, you've got your PC now. And it usually takes 6 to 9 months to get it. So 6 to 9 months of absolute BS, in my opinion, to then get your PC that, in my situation, I would probably never use, ever. But all E5 and below need to have their PC. So, your first year in the fleet will typically be nothing at all related to your rate, what you went to school for. I went to school for a whole entire year. This is my 4 years in the Navy. First year, school. Second year, TAD. Third year, maybe actually kind of starting to finally learn how to be an AT, what I went to school for. Fourth year, transitioning to get out of the Navy. The way that the Navy is set up, if you're going to be in for 4 years, if you stay longer, it's beneficial. Long term, all the training they put into you, it's worth it, right? But if you plan on doing 4 years, you'll hardly be the rate that you went to school for. It's kind of silly. Unless your school is really short, unless you never had to go TAD. Maybe it's different if you got sea duty and you did all of this on the boat, whatever else. But for me, typically, that is what my 4 years will look like. School, TAD, maybe being an AT finally, getting out. Because your last year, you're going to medical all the time, you have to go to TAPS class, you have to transition into, like, get your school together. It's to process you out of the Navy takes so long. So you'll start that basically 9 months to 12 months before your projected time to get out. Does that make sense? Is it a bad thing? No. Would I change my mind? Absolutely not. Would I stay in? Possibly. Will I stay in? I think right now I want to have a bunch of babies. And yes, you can have children and be in the military, but I don't want that. Call me old-fashioned, but I think the woman needs to stay home and raise the kids. People have been raised perfectly fine without their mom around. Moms have done it, dads have done it, but I could not see myself deploying for 8 months and not seeing my child. No way. I believe that when you have children, you give yourself to them. Oh, but you can still be you. Yeah, if you want to be selfish, but the first 4 years of that kid's life is everything, and I cannot not be there for that. So I want children. Didn't want children before. If you know me, if you've watched my other older videos, I never wanted kids. I've always wanted to be married. I am married now, and my mom always told me that until I found the right man, I wouldn't understand. And now that I have, I am feeling things I've never felt before, and I really want a family with him. I want to give my life to little children and raise them and be there for them, and I cannot do that in the military. That's my personal opinion, though it's doable. So will I stay in? I don't think so. That brings me to my next point. Don't let your first year in the Navy, because you'll be TAD, well, you'll be in school, but your second year in the Navy, when you're TAD, when you're finally in the fleet, and you're TAD or whatever, don't let that be what you base your opinion on, because you could be at a really crappy command, and then the next command you get to when you re-enlist could be freaking amazing, and you'd be like, I could do this forever. I want to do 20 years in. What determines whether people want to stay in or get out has a lot to do with where they fortunately or unfortunately get stationed and what kind of command they're at. I'm at a pretty good command. If I didn't want kids, I would stay 20 years, definitely. It's one of the easiest jobs I've ever had in my life, and I think it's fun to, I've never been deployed, but I can only imagine that it's even better, right? Well, I guess staying on a ship for a long time would probably suck, but deploying with my squadron anyway would be pretty sweet because they don't stay on the ship for very long. Anyhow, it's adventurous, and you don't do the same thing every single day, and once you have all your quals, once you get your PC, once you're done with that TAD, your life becomes so much easier. Maybe you become E4, got a little rank, you've got all your quals. Things are just pretty sweet at that moment in time. So I wouldn't say to give up. Like, it could be crappy at times, especially if you're in the line shack, but don't let that deter you. Don't let your opinion be based off of that experience. Wait until you have all your quals and you're in your rate and you're working what you're working as the rate you went to school for, and kind of let it sink in like that. Always keep an open mind. Because I'm shore duty, I'm going to be up for orders like in the next month or so. I will be picking new orders. Now, they give you a paper, a form, I forget the form number. It says, are you going to stay in the Navy or are you going to get out? And they start processing this long before you're ever going to get out. So the advice that was given to me was, don't tell them you're going to get out. Because once you sign that paper saying that you're going to get out, they'll basically process you to get out. And you can't change your mind. You can't go back from there. You can't be like, oh, did I change my mind? I want to stay in. Because you've still got like a year and a half until you pick orders or until you leave or whatever. Like, there's a long time left. A lot could change. So always tell them, like, this could be kind of selfish. And this could be kind of selfish to do, but I mean, if you honestly don't know whether you're going to stay in or get out, don't tell them you're going to get out. Always act like you're going to stay in. That will give them an open mind to keep you in mind for that EP, eval, or because if they have two people that are exactly the same, one of them has voiced their opinion that they want to stay and do 20, and the other's like, I want to get out. They're going to give the EP to this person because this person wants to stay. This person's getting out. What does this person need an EP for? To promote to E5 or whatever? Like, who cares? They're getting out, right? That's what your higher ups are going to think. So never voice that you want to get out, because 3 months later this person's like, something happens in their life, they realize they need to stay in the Navy, maybe they need health insurance, all of a sudden they're going to have a kid, they can't support the kid, and they really want to stay, all of a sudden they're like, nobody wants to stay. That EP was already given away, and it actually should have rightfully gone to this person, because this person was just a little bit better, but this person wanted to stay, they give it to this person, now this person wants to stay all of a sudden, this person doesn't get that EP. Don't let them know that you plan on getting out. Don't let them know that you hate your life and you're miserable. Don't sign that paper saying, I'm going to get out. Always act like you're going to stay in, because you honestly don't know what's going to change your mind. It could be a personal life change. It could be a new command. It could be a new chain of command within your shop that things start looking better. You could all of a sudden get all your quals and realize it's really not so hard after that. It's kind of freaking easy. I could do this, right? You never know what's going to change your mind. And if you keep an open mind and you let them think that you're going to stay in, up until the very last month where you're about to re-enlist, you could be like, nope, I want to get out. And then and then you get out. Like, that'd be screwed up because they've already got it set up for you. You've got your orders picked, like they're expecting you to re-enlist. But you can get out. You could be like, you know what, I don't want to re-enlist. But come that month, right? And you've told them you want to get out, you've signed the paper that you're going to get out, and then you're like, you know what, my re-enlistment day's coming up, and I want to re-enlist. They're going to have to do so much backtracking, and you're likely not going to be able to re-enlist. So never let them know that you plan on getting out, because you need to keep an open mind, because your decision could change from one month to the next, depending on so many different variables. So, That was a long video. I don't even know if I covered everything that I meant to say, so there's that. Don't let your first year in the fleet beat you up. It's really not that bad, especially after you get your quals. Things get easier. So expect to not do the job you went to school for immediately. And it really isn't all that bad. And that might not be the case for you. Maybe you'll get your PC sooner than 6 to 9 months and they'll put you right back in the shop. Or maybe you will get your PC from the shop. They won't even put you in the line shack, right? That could happen. So there's that. There's a bunch of different things that could happen. I just don't want you guys to expect to go to school as an AM and then get to your command and be an AM, because you'll likely go T80 to something. So expect that. And know that it's going to get much better after your first year in the fleet. It gets a lot better. Because once you get to your command, you're overwhelmed, and they give you like 1,000 different types of info. Like, they talk to you about ASM, they talk to you about your mind is like, and then 3 months later, they're like, how come you don't such and such and such? And you're like, I don't remember that conversation. And they're like, we told you all of that. But they told you all of that all on the same day, and you're not going to retain any of that. And your first year in the fleet, you're kind of a mess. You're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And people are going to think that you know, and then you're just going to be like, no one's ever taught me how to fill out, no one's ever taught me how to put myself in work, you know, like, I don't know how to use UMA, and they're going to be like, what? How do you not know how to use Nalcomas? You know, you're just, it's going to be bad. You're going to be like, you're going to feel dumb. But don't, because it happens to everyone. And after your first year in, it gets a lot better. Just so you know that, okay? Talk to you later.